Hello everyone, welcome to Live from Abuja, reaching you from Nigeria's capital city.
On the show, we will take you through major events in politics, entertainment, and sports that shaped the week in Nigeria and, of course, across the world.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I am Ademola Lawrence.
I am Jane Francis Mweze.
Indeed, a very interesting week, and news from all around the world, but we start in UK. We begin the show today with news coming from the United Kingdom after the general election, where Keir Starmer won in a landslide victory and has now appointed Angela Rayner as the Deputy Prime Minister alongside Rachel Reeves as the first female Chancellor in Britain. Our country needs a biggest reset, and a lot of change begins immediately. Just some of the statement made by the UK new Prime Minister Keir Starmer during his first speech at 10 Downing Street on Friday after a meeting with King Charles III.
The United Kingdom's Labour Party had swept to power early on Friday after winning the country's general election. Britain's former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak conceded defeat to the opposition Labour Party as voters in the UK general election delivered a devastating verdict on 14 years of Conservative rule.
And President Bola Tinubu extended his warm congratulations to Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, on Friday, saying the party's ability to reform, mobilize, and position itself for the victory after 14 years clearly affirms the leadership qualities of Sir Starmer.
Join.
And of course, it wasn't an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. Not following the build-up wasn't much of a surprise with everything that's happening, and a lot of sentiment also attached to this particular election. But we get to see what it would bring for the UK people. They've seen a lot of elections in recent time. Talk about the Brexit, the turnout, their expectations, and maybe how the Conservatives have managed it. So now it's time for the Labour to spare this, and would see also what they intend to achieve for the United Kingdom.
And I think that after 14 years that the Conservatives have ruled, now as the Labour Party who is coming back to the fore to rule in the United Kingdom, and looking at how that result panned out, when the Labour Party won the majority of the seats this 2024 general election, it also gives where the 649 results, of course, all across the polling units, has really shown that Labour Party is indeed the ones in charge of everywhere in the United Kingdom. You look at the statistics and how it was provided. The Conservatives won 121 seats, down from 244, which they had in 2019 election. And you now look at the Liberal Democrats gained 60 seats from a total of 71. That was from the election. Now let's join our guest. Join us from the US for the UK via Zoom is Global Affairs Analyst Solomon Soja. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Good morning,
Okay.
Solomon.
Good morning, Solomon. Okay, so let's start with this. Britain's Labour Party has won enough seats to have a majority in the UK Parliament. What does this mean? This win mean for the Labour Party in general?
So essentially, it means that the Labour Party now have the capacity to implement policies more effectively with greater autonomy. It also means that they have the mandate to implement the manifesto promise, and so many controls comes with so much responsibility as well, because there's a lot of expectation on the current Prime Minister, the new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
All right. So, the last time we saw, the Labour Party win an election was in 2005, and that was Tony Blair. And fairly, I think maybe he had a fair run. But now this win is coming after 14 years of conservative rule. Of course, Rishi Sunak has conceded defeat. But how do you think that conservatives are receiving this particular defeat?
Well, I think they saw it coming, but as much as they saw it coming, Rishi Sunak took a gamble to call for an early election, and that has not even helped. That has even made it worse. And the thing with the British people at the minute is that it seems like they hate the party. They just want something new. They're voting for change, voting for reform, voting for a lot of independent parties. So I believe that the Tories saw this coming. The only problem is the landslide is just too wide, and it's just so disappointing and appalling.
Yeah, that's very key. Looking at how you just mentioned that the landslide is too wide and is very appalling. Looking at the statistics that I have with me, with 649 seated declared, Labour won 411 seats, up on 209 on their total from the 2019 election. So if you look at how the tide turned from 2019 to 2024, it looks as if Labour had everything cut out for them before this election, this particular election.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, a lot of people are just tired of the conservatives and they want something new. Even as much as the former Prime Minister kept throwing a jab at Starmer about his policies, he's not got a plan. At least I have a plan. I have the Rwanda plan as a deterrent. What's your plan? And what is all this? He's got nothing to say, but still, he still gets this amount of support from the British people. Just shows you how tired they are and how much of change they are yearning for.
All right, so let me just ask you this a little out of curiosity. Some people, are suggesting that part of the reason why Labour had this landslide is because Rishi is traditionally from India. Do you think, and they could not, the UK people couldn't take the fact that an Indian is the head of their government? Do you think that had something to do with the outcome, or you think it was basically on the policies
and the style of government?
And the style of government.
There might be a little bit of that, but I really don't know. But in my opinion, and from all I've seen in the news and all I see directly and personally from people, my friends that are British and probably even white, they do not think this way to the best of my knowledge. I would say it's more so on the policies, and it's more so on the decisions he's been making and how much they've been promising, and people are not seeing results. And this is not coming from he alone, and the mismanagement from his predecessors and what has been going on for so long. So I think the British people have just taken the stand to call for change and just push away the Tories. Even places like Oxfordshire that had Tories in charge for about 200 years, they still lost all their seats. And so this is just the situation that it is right now in Britain.
So you look at what every typical politician would do when they win an election. They'll tell you, we'll hit the ground running just immediately. And that's what the Prime Minister said yesterday. Said, we'll begin immediately.
To bring change.
To bring change into the system of the UK. But you look at it in general. What will you think should be his first job to Britons, and what should they be expecting from him at this particular time? Don't also forget, there's also inflation in UK, so the economy is really, really shaking at this particular time. What should we be looking at as the Prime Minister kickstart and say immediately? That's what his words.
Well, for the British people, it's very simple. For the average British person, he just wants to know if this new government would make his life easier, or yes or no. It's just as simple as that. And on Keir Starmer's point of view, he's promised his first 6 steps to deliver economic stability, cut down on NHS waiting time, which is enormous, launch a new border security command, set up British Energy, crack down on antisocial behavior, and recruit 6,500 new teachers. All of these things he's promised. He's shown no plan, particularly on how he would fund this, because there's no money for social care, prisons, going out of capacity, health, and so many situations where money needs to be put into the government where there is not, and it's not showing a plan of how he intends to fund his new policies. So I think for the British person, all they want to know is if this new government make their life easier or not.
All right. So also, so when you look at all of these things, and then you flash back to when they had the Labour Party. I used to go back to the last time I remember, which was Tony Blair, and he introduced a lot of, I think, health reforms, economic reforms, and all that. So he was also a bit of a controversial figure. Things happened during his time. But do you think, going by the Labour Party policy, that Starmer is also going to be, a bit of a build-up from where the Tories have left the United Kingdom presently? Are you confident in the Labour doing a bit of what they have done before when they were in charge, when they were in power?
In my personal opinion, I'm not too sure, because like Rishi continues to say, he's not got a plan. He's not really shown a clear plan of how he intends to achieve some of these things he's been saying. And Starmer himself has done a lot of reform, even within the Labour Party. So the Labour Party is not the same as Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party or in the time of Blair. So there is just so much change in the system that we are all looking forward to see what this would mean for today's Britain.
Just immediately after he was elected as the Prime Minister, there's already a cabinet. There's already a cabinet being formed. You looked at how he was able to appoint David Lammy, who of course has been appointed as Foreign Secretary. You look at John Hurley, was named the Defense Secretary. You look at McFadden, now the National Campaign Coordinator, has been appointed Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. All of these, does this really say that the Labour Party were ready for the work ahead? And looking at this wing, what does it portray for them in the last 14 years that they have been out of power?
Well, for me, this shows preparedness, because if he's already got his plans figured out as to these portfolios, he's put people in place, and having the first female chancellor to hold that position, I think that is so much of good forward thinking. What people would also want to see is that if he'll be able to talk about the budget like 3 years ahead, that amount of forward planning and future planning to let people see what they would expect. So this first move he's done yesterday is really, really impressive, to see that he has his cabinet already set up, so they have their plan ready to get running, or keep the ground running, like you said earlier on in this conversation.
All right, and then of course, so we've been talking so much about how this pertains to Labour Party, United Kingdom, but in terms of foreign policy, should Nigeria look forward to a lot of more partnership with the Labour Party? I mean, do we even stand? Because I've seen a lot of Nigerians come out to say we're happy, we're congratulating the Labour. So does this even have any implication for us as Nigerians?
At the core of the Labour Party, I believe they are very much big on collaboration and international bonds and doing things more internationally to improve the life of the British people as well as the life of the people you would be collaborating with. So I would say, more likely than not, it should be a good thing for the Commonwealth nations. However, we still don't know what he intends to do yet. At least from Rishi Sunak's point of view, he had talked about the plan, the new standards for immigration and all that sort of stuff. But Keir Starmer has not made this plan clear yet, and we are all just waiting to see what his next move would be, if it would be very beneficial for Commonwealth countries, or if it would even be tougher than what Rishi Sunak was planning.
This will be my last question, and this is kind of very rhetoric. When President Bola Tinubu says that the economy will start moving, it's not a quick fix. Remember, when Reeves was also appointed, she was appointed just after the Prime Minister was elected. And in her words, let me just quote her. I know that the road ahead will not be easy. There are no quick fix, and the hard choices are ahead. And she has been appointed as a country finance, so she's in charge of finance, in charge of treasury. Does this suggest that if a developed country can be saying there are no quick fix to it, what does it portray for all of us, even in Nigeria?
Yeah, that's very funny to say. But then that's true. And generally across the world, I feel like most citizens don't understand governance and policies and how much time it takes for it to translate into their daily lives. And it's even more here because you don't see this change easily in the life of the normal person. So I understand when they say there are no quick fix to all this type of stuff, but then would the average citizen understand that this expectation wouldn't change in the light switch the way they imagine? And so yeah, I imagine that there would be no quick fix, but again, it's still politics. You'd promise as though you'd get it done the night you are elected, and then when you get elected, you start saying something else and saying there are no quick fix, to just drop the expectation of people and make them a lot more patient with you, just like how the presidency in Nigeria is doing, or how the new prime minister will be doing in a couple months.
All right.
Politicians are rhetorics. Thank you very much, Solomon Soldier. Thank you very much for your time on the show.
And for the insights that you've given us to the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's move to the next story. The 4th of July celebration in the United States. Celebrations erupted with fireworks across major cities.
Well, here in Nigeria, a commitment has been made to strengthen security bonds with the United States.
And Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs gave this assurance at the commemoration of the 248th anniversary of the U.S. independence in the nation's capital city of Abuja.
The independence of the United States of America in 1776 from Great Britain is one marked with bravery. While the 4th of July 1776 was the day the Declaration of Independence was adopted after being signed by the 56 founding fathers, U.S. independence was actually declared on the 2nd of July. That was when the legal separation from the Great Britain happened. To Americans, the observance of this day is celebrated with fireworks, parade, music, and other festivities. This was also the experience in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, as the embassy invited people from political office holders to members of the diplomatic corps, academia, journalists, to artists and other friends of the embassy. This, according to the embassy, emphasized the cordial relations and historical bond between Nigeria and the U.S.
It is an opportunity to take a quick look at the state of our two nations' ties, particularly given the incredible momentum in the U.S.-Nigeria relationship. Our bond has always been strong, but lately it feels like we're really sprinting forward together. In addition to all the things that we do every day to make Nigerians and Americans more secure, more healthy, more prosperous, we've seen a visit from Secretary of State Blinken, the holding of the Binational Commission, led by Deputy Secretary of State Campbell and Foreign Minister Tugar, and the Foreign Minister's follow-up visit to the United States. It's been a whirlwind in the best way.
We have been two nations that have continued to wax its friendship, its bond, and its cooperation very tightly. One of the major things that happened this year was the Nigeria-US binational. And it was a testament of how important our cordial relationship was. The Secretary of State had just left Nigeria not too long ago, and to ensure that we had a smooth running, the Deputy Secretary of State, who had just been confirmed, hurried up to Nigeria to ensure that we had a very successful binational.
The occasion was also an opportunity for the embassy to introduce its new ambassador and chief of mission, who assumed office a week earlier.
Of course, when Live from Abuja returns, we'll have more for you, and the Samoa agreement is a talking point and generating reactions from Nigerians. We'll be back.
planet, our home, threatened by man's activities with fears of mass extinction on the rise. On Green Angle, we examine the issues that affect our environment, seek solutions to put us on track to secure and restore a cleaner and greener world for generations to come.
And of course, President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of qualified Nigerians to the board of Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation to further expedite the process of expanding consumer credit access to Nigerians.
The federal government has launched a new initiative to establish an operating model and framework for economic and financial inclusion, aiming to transform Nigeria into a $1 trillion economy by 2030.
And the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, has described public corruption as the bane of development in Nigeria, saying public corruption ranks as the biggest cause of corruption in the country. And if public corruption is not taken out of the polity, the country will fare better than many countries of the world.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, has urged the economic community of West African states to unite in addressing the causes of insecurity in the region, saying that between January and May 2024, over 7,000 people have died in more than 800 terrorist incidents across the region, with Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali being particularly hard hit.
Interesting. And in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria is stressing to sanction banks and, of course, other foreign exchange dealers that refuse to accept whole series lower denominations of the US dollar bills from their customers. According to a recent circular issued by CBN, the bank had found instances of continued rejection of the whole and lower denominations of dollars notes, which had been condemned in an earlier circular issued in 2021.
And outside Nigeria, in the United States, many Americans weren't letting worries about their pocketbooks keep them from traveling and enjoying fireworks as they celebrated their nation's birth with parades, cookouts, and fiery splashes of colors against the evening sky. Fireworks also reached an all-time high with an untold number of backyard displays, in addition to 16,000 professional shows lighting up the horizon from sea to shining sea.
And in Kenya, the U.S. has warned that Kenya's rising debt burden is undermining its ability to provide quality medical care and education to its citizens, shining the spotlight on expensive debt procured on the last decade, partly from China. Interesting.
Nigeria's government has clarified that it signed the Samoa agreement in the best interest of the country.
The federal government says the agreement was signed after extensive review and consultations by Inter-Ministerial Committee convened by the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning in collaboration with Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Federal Ministry of Justice, and is targeted towards generating investment opportunities and fostering collaborations and among Nigerians and other nations.
But there were concerns that the agreement endorsed LGBTQ rights in Nigeria.
You know, the European Union is investing a lot in a Team Europe spirit, and I will never insist more on Team Europe. Team Europe means all of us, so it's not just me and the European Commission, the European delegation, but it's really all the EU member states, and I'm really happy to have met many of you already. And this is with our banks, and this is with our private sector. And
there is an evolving relationship between Nigeria and EU. We have just signed the Samoa agreement, so I felt it's a very, very good moment before the commencement of the EU business forums. We have sensitized the Nigerian public sector, Nigerian private sector, about the EU partnerships, the global gateway, and relationship with EU member nations, and it's very, very important to us. We share a lot with the EU.
And the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has now made a clarification following the controversy and backlash generated by the news of the signing.
Mr. Idris, however, explained that the signed agreement does not contravene any law in Nigeria, and the government has not in any way endorsed LGBTQ rights, which are illegal in the country, by signing the agreement.
He assured that the government of President Bola Tinubu would not enter into any international agreement detrimental to the country's interests, and that officials involved in the negotiations strictly adhered to the mandate exchanged in 2018 between the European Union and the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States. Okay, this is really a cause for concern.
Well, I think it's, because of, anything about LGBTQ raises concern. It's a very sensitive topic, and you have to be explicit because, people always believe that promoters of LGBTQ always try to hide under some very elaborate bills to, squeeze it in. So once there's anything that has LGBTQ, people are a bit like, okay, so wait, let's clarify and all that. I think that's what happened.
I think let's first look at how this even came into place. After the agreement was reached in November 2018 about the Samoa agreement in 2018, there were a lot of clauses. The 27 European unions also signed into that agreement alongside African and Caribbean countries who are part of the deal. Now, the crux of the matter is there's a part of the deal which says that you must respect human rights. And what are these human rights? The LGBTQ is part of those.
Oh, but they are saying. Hold on. So the point that needs to come out, they're saying your country's law still supersedes every other
exactly.
thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, that's what we need people to understand.
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
But that's part of the clause. But now the country is saying the agreement, and the people who signed the contract are saying the country's law supersedes that of that agreement. So I think that's where the board of contention is. But Nigerians should put their mind to rest. The government have said that, of course, the country's law supersedes whatever law, whatever agreements that's been signed in that
And there are
paper.
many cases of this where it comes.
Of course. We'll go on a break. While we'll come back, we'll still have more for you online.
Life is politics.
Why are you
in Nigeria, almost every part of our lives is touched by the politics we play. Governance, legislative matters, the economy, security, foreign affairs, internal affairs. Have a few strategic plays in the political space. Hello, and how we live in Nigeria. The players, the drama, chess piece moves. Be kept informed. Watch analysis of major happenings in the political space and how it affects you. Watch Politics on Sunday.
Our planet, our home, threatened by man's activities with fears of mass extinction on the rise. On Green Angle, we examine the issues that affect our environment, seek solutions to put us on track to secure and restore a cleaner and greener world for generations to come.
All right, welcome back to the show. To put this into clearer perspective, I'm talking about, of course, the Samoa Agreement. We're joined by the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States experts in. So we apologize for that introduction. Let's move on to the rejection of rights and, of course, the rejection of bribe, rather, where you have the police story, where you say exemplary behavior by police officer who was tempted but went above and beyond to receive a bribe of 150 million naira has been making the rounds.
Well, I mean, it's good to see that we have a lot of these agencies coming out to speak against bribe and calling it recognition for incorruptibility. And you may not be wrong, as Superintendent of Police Ibrahim Sini is honored for rejecting a 150 million naira. I'd like to put that a whooping sum of 150 million naira bribe to alter the outcome of an investigation.
The Commissioner of Police of the FCT Police Command and other well-wishers gathered to celebrate the policeman.
Honor of incorruptibility of a policeman. The spotlight is on Superintendent of Police Ibrahim Sini, who refused a bribe of 150 million naira from a businessman to alter the outcome of an investigation. Mr. Akintola Akindele is standing trial before an FCT High Court for allegedly bribing a police officer to compromise an investigation into an alleged diversion of more than $5 million belonging to an oil company.
This is an honor from everybody. You are Superintendent of Police. The day you be Chief Superintendent of Police, I will be around to liberate you.
Apart from the bribe money, SP Sini says he was offered other items which he rejected.
Peace of mind, and I also stand to do what is right for myself, for my organization, that's the Nigerian police, and also for the country at large.
The policeman was rewarded with a parcel of land whose value is a lot lower than the money he was offered as bribe. But for SP Sini, probity is of more value.
Joining me to discuss this issue is Jude Omeje, a security affairs analyst. Welcome to the show, Jude.
Thank you for having me.
And now we hardly hear about stories like this, especially when it comes to, the Nigerian police. People have set a mental block about the Nigerian police and the issue of bribes. So how do you think this event will help to reshape the police image, general perception? Do you think it can have any effect?
Well, of course, it should have. It can have. And, but if we, to me, this story is not even a one-off thing about police. Let us not, act like we are, reenacting the biblical story about no good can come from Nazareth. People, let me tell you, you have so many, I don't know if you have met them, but I have, so many patriotic, so many sincere, so many hardworking Nigerian police officers. So what this SP has done is just to tell the world that indeed Nigerian police is not as bad as we make them. By the way, any society's police force is a reflection of the society. So, but that's not to take away any shine from this man. I want to congratulate him. I want to appreciate what he has done and to tell other officers around him that he has done an exemplary thing that worthy of emulation. But I'm just trying to emphasize that he is not just the only patriotic Nigerian police officer. There are many, many among them. So that's what I want to say for now.
I think that while this is really making a lot of noise, looking at, first of all, how the economic downturn, where you have such huge amounts of money, somebody giving you 150 million naira, and you turn it down. And the second of all is the fact that, Nigerians, we don't get to celebrate things like this. Do you think we can have more of this, not just happening in silos, but in the open? Okay, I think we'll come back to Mr. Jude when we have him. But I think that when you look at what Mr. Jude has did, I think is commendable. Looking at the situation, Okay, we'll have Mr. Jude. Mr. Jude, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
clearly, yes.
Let me just repeat my question. I'm saying that if
I got your question. I know your question.
All right. Okay, go on, sir.
So I was just saying that, that it's actually good that the FCT Police Command had to showcase this particular, incident, just to show the world that indeed, in spite of the, harsh economic environment, in spite of all the temptations that this particular police officer, and in spite of the huge sum of money, very tempting, that this man stood his ground. So there ought to be like a moral compass, ethical compass for police officers around him, and that indeed not just the police officers but Nigerians as a whole, that there are actually a huge reward and honor when this kind of integrity, sincerity, and patriotism is put on display. That Nigerians ought to wear that as a part.
Mr. Jude, we really want to have this conversation.
Go
Mr. Jude, just go ahead.
Well, I think I've summed up. So, except the other part of the question I didn't get. But
all right. We have always had conversations about police collecting bribes at checkpoints. People always make these videos and send out when they have these issues in this era of social media. And I'm wondering, can this recent event be a way to turn things around, where younger police officers, see an example out of Eunice, so this is possible. You can actually turn down, bribe. Everyone is not doing it as they would, senior officers would have junior officers believe that everyone is doing this.
Yeah, I agree. I think part of the reason why this is on the news is for people, other police officers to see and emulate. But let's look at it this way. You cannot just only because that particular man returned 150 million naira that the whole Nigerian police force will now follow suit. Look, you are about to have people, disgruntled officers, or very, very, should I say, guys who ought not to be officers, who are in the police force. So it's a systemic thing. Corruption is not just in the Nigerian police. It's like I said, the police force you have is a reflection of the society at large. Let me tell you, really, I had experience about Nigerian police force because I was once a police instructor. That was way back, around 1992 or thereabout, as a youth corporal, I must say. And I got my experience with those guys. I mean, the institution was what they call Police Training School, JOS. And that's where they train these recruits. And I had experience, and I had, an impression about why
Wow. I really want to discuss, what it means for. Okay, Mr. Jude. Mr. Jude.
Yeah.
Okay.
And going forward.
All right. Okay. So I really want to ask you this. While we are saying there should be a change of mindset from the police, do you also think that Nigerians should have a change of mindset? Because the first thing that comes to, of course, not collecting bribes at all.
But I've said it a while ago that the Nigerian police force you have is a reflection of the society you have. The society is not, the police is not insulated from what is going on in society. Just tell me which sector you think are made up of sins. Which sector? Let me not just be specific, but which sector do you think you have, an arraignment of sins? There's no. So the Nigerian police force you are seeing on the street is exactly reflective of the society you have out there. So, back to your question, I think that this man's exemplary life should be the moral torchlight for people to see that, look, you can actually withstand temptations of this magnitude. So yes, we owe it to ourselves as a society to change from the pervasive corruption that have eaten deep into our system. We owe it to a duty for us to change our ethical dimension, our ethical bearing, so that we understand that there is no way the society can move progressively if we are actually subsumed in corrupt practices and ethical misdeeds. So I agree that this particular incident should be a shift for everybody to see that indeed we can withstand corruption. Indeed, we can have a society that is worthy of progressive society. So that's what I'm saying. But more importantly, like I said again, Nigerian police force we have right now is quite reflective of society, Nigerian society. That corruption is pervasive. It's not just in police force, in the sector, even in religious sectors.
Thank you very much, Jude, for joining us this morning to give insight and also to throw more light about the celebration of Sini on the Abuja, live from Abuja this morning. And when we return from this break, we would bring you more stories from the world of entertainment.
The National Assembly is a busy place. As the bastion of democracy, it is a place where bills are presented, motions debated, laws made, and the yearnings of the people are laid bare. Come with us as we take you through the workings of the National Assembly. We take you through plenary, committee meetings, and probes, all to ensure smooth working of the democratic process.
Our planet, our home, threatened by man's activities with fears of mass extinction on the rise. On Green Angle, we examine the issues that affect our environment, seek solutions to put us on track to secure and restore a cleaner and greener world for generations to come. Our planet, our home.
Politics. In Nigeria, almost every part of our lives is touched by the politics we play. Governance, legislative matters, the economy, security, foreign affairs, internal affairs. Have a feel as strategic plays in the political space determine how we live in Nigeria. The players, the drama, chess piece moves. Be kept informed. Watch analysis of major happenings in the political space and how it affects you. Watch Politics on Sunday.
Nigerian actress Sharon Ojanwoke has shared a recap of her wedding ceremonies featuring both the traditional and white weddings. The video Sharon shared captured moments from her traditional marriage, starting from her first outfit down to the last. This follows various allegations about her husband that trailed both before and after events of their lavish wedding ceremonies. Abuja people were served it hot. Yeah, last weekend.
Indeed, Abuja was serving hot. Nigerian artist Rema's mega hit single "Calm Down" has now surpassed 2 billion streams on Spotify, making it by far the most streamed song by an African artist on the platform. The 2 billion mark was achieved by both versions of the singles, with the original surpassing 590 million streams and the Selena Gomez remix crossing 1.410 billion streams in what is a monumental feat. Interesting.
Interesting, very interesting. Nigerian singer Simi has opened up about a culture shock she experienced in Kenya when she found out that Pidgin English wasn't spoken by all Africans. The singer appeared as a guest on the recent episode of the 90s Baby Show, where she highlighted a previous misconception she had about Pidgin English, a form of broken English commonly spoken by Nigerians. She went to say, "Guy Alpha."
But it's not only Nigerians that speak Pidgin. You have Ghanaians who also speak Pidgin. And now let's tell you that Big Brother Niger star Kidwire has announced that his villa in Blizzard was raided, resulting in the theft of about 70,000 euros in Beckenbach. Taken to his Instagram account on July 2nd, 2024, the reality star informed his followers on what transpired at 3 a.m. and out caution to fellow Nigerians traveling to Europe, especially when staying in villas. Do you stay in villas? Do you stay in villas?
Yes, I stay in villas. Villas, put the S. All right. 10-kilometer walk and 21-kilometer half marathon race to give back to the local community has been organized by the Run Club Abuja. The charity event is in a bid to raise 10 million naira for the purchase of medication, adequate infrastructure, and medical equipment for the leprosy village at the Alheri community in Yangoji, Kwali Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory.
It is a way of not only supporting lifestyle and fitness through running and walking in the nation's capital city of Abuja, but also a way of promote the sacrifice of giving something fun for kids age 6 to 13 years of age will also be highlight of the day. Interesting. And to speak more on the long-anticipated Abuja Half Marathon is the president of Running Club Abuja, Emmanuel Otokpa. Did I get it correct?
Yes, you did. Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to the program.
Okay, so just tell us about this Abuja City Half Marathon and work. Of course, what should we be expecting from this event, and why did you decide to do it?
Okay, so Run Club Abuja was founded in July 2020, just after COVID. Okay. And then when the club started, we started running, and then our numbers started increasing. So by 2021, when it was time to celebrate our anniversary, we decided to do like a charity half marathon. Okay. But we wanted something different. So we decided to add a charity arm to it. So that way we run, we raise funds, and we put the same funds back into our immediate community. Oh. So this is the fourth one that we're doing now. So the first one, we built classrooms and computer equipment for Not Forgotten Initiative School in Asokoro. It's a school it's a free school for the kids around that cannot afford schooling. So someone set it up and they do that. The second year, we bought medical equipment for a PHC at Day. We renovated the school, the hospital also. Now, for last year, there's a LES code in Jabi. We are finishing up the project now. We built like just a mini racetrack and a football field for them. So we just try to locate areas where we feel the community is in need, and we just try to fill in the gap and do the bits that we can while keeping fit, which is still the core of what the club is about.
All right. So, I mean, in organizing a marathon, of course, a lot comes in, the road closure, security of participants, and everyone involved. So, how much have you put in, to ensure that people are not stranded on that day? They don't come out on the day of the race.
Okay. Okay. So usually we work with the government agencies, work with road safety, VIO. So they give us their bikers where we need to partially close the road because it's difficult to have a full road closure. So just partial closures, and then there are specific junctions, they direct people, and then we have their ambulances also, just in case anyone has a medical emergency. So we work with the relevant government agencies to make sure that the run and the race is hitch-free.
So what are your expectations as these charity events begins? I think it's a laudable project, but a lot of people also want to see. Now you have ruled out some of the things that you have done over the past 4 years or so. Yeah. But what are the things that we're looking at for this year?
Okay, so like you earlier highlighted, for this year we are supporting the leprosy village in Kwali. So we went to do we had a couple of projects we were looking at, but then we paid a visit to the village, and it's like, a part of society that is often neglected. So we went there, we saw them. And then, as it would happen, the day we went there was this girl who was pregnant, and the baby was even dead in her tummy. She didn't even know, and there were no drugs. So we just felt like, okay, we should do like a medical intervention for them. So we are going to stock up their pharmacy, and then we are providing auxiliary healthcare, 2 nurses to run the place for the duration of that they have the drugs for, yeah.
Well, that's quite interesting. And then also for me, after all of this is done, and we understand that the race, going by the fact that it started, just after COVID, it was something to engage people and to keep the mind and the body healthier. So, but what's the plan to make it a lot more maybe structured?
Structured in what way?
Well, to have Abuja being known also for the marathon races that
okay
Abuja,
so like for now, for this year we have Norenberger as our headline sponsor, a financial institution, and then we have a support sponsor also, Modern Shelter. So as time goes on, we keep increasing, like even the number of runners and the way we plan it keeps increasing year by year. So like last year we had about 300. This year we're expecting 500. Maybe next year we may expect 1,000. You know.
But then let me question you. So who can participate in the race, and how do you raise these funds?
Yeah, everybody can participate. You just go on the website and then you register. So we raise funds from registrations, and then we have our sponsors who also, put in some money for it to be done. So that's how and well-wishers and friends. So that's how we raise money. Yeah.
I also love to run.
No, you can come.
No, I love to run. You know, I think the last time I did a 10K.
Okay.
I did the last time I did a 10 kilometer. I think it was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, fine. So
I should come.
Sure. Yeah, it's on Saturday. 13th. It's just a week away.
So I can come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last time I did the last time I did a long distance race was in secondary school.
Okay.
I was in secondary school actually.
Okay.
and it was cross country for junior girls. And junior girls normally leave before the junior boys.
Yeah.
I think I came third for like the senior boys.
It doesn't matter. You can show up. You can walk if you haven't run in a while.
The junior girls had returned. The junior boys had returned. The senior girls had returned. And the first 2 senior boys were returning before I came back.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Indeed, we wish you the best for this event. Of course, you need to keep the mind and soul working, born to run, and I think that's a very good one. That is a very good one. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you so much
for this. And that's how we wrap up today's show on Live from Abuja. My name is Ademola Lawrence, and of course, we'll join you next week, where we'll bring you stories from politics, entertainment, sports, and lifestyle.
I am Jane Francis Mweze. Bye for now.
Business lives on the fast track of numbers. Business is a strange world where low numbers mean something different. And its currency are speed and time. Finding the open doors of Main Street is not just good business, it's the start of the business. Join us every weekend on Business Week.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
School, I need students, but I need teachers.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything. If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet sour taste for all. Their demands, a familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Community Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
It's not a regular show. It's an online interactive session where we share my views on the everyday issues that cut across politics, security, health, current affairs, governance, and so much more.